Certification is a powerful and enriching professional learning experience that says to the education community, I have been assessed through a rigorous national process to achieve certification status, and I am an expert at what I do.
I have compared certification to running the New York Marathon, and there's quite a few similarities between certification and a marathon. You know, you start off and you think it's going to be smooth sailing, and you come across some road bumps and you come across some tough times within the journey, but there's some incredible moments along the way, and when you get to the end, as I've said before, it's very affirming and well worthwhile, and I certainly have developed as a professional, a teacher and a leader. First of all, our intention today is to develop our understanding of how globalisation impacts various aspects of our culture. I spoke to my principal as soon as I was considering going for the lead certification, and once I was sure that I had his support, it made it easy for me to make the decision to then apply for certification.
He said to me, I'm thinking about certification for lead teacher. I said, fantastic, let's do it. Let's go and find out how we do it.
To decide on the lead career stage, I needed to spend some time really unpacking the standards and the descriptors. Once I decided on the evidence that I was going to collect, I made sure that the referees were familiar with each aspect and each piece of evidence, and so when I was talking to them, I was able to articulate, this is the evidence I'm going to be using, and they were able to link in their referee statements with the evidence that I'd collected. In regards to writing the annotations to my evidence, what I tried to do was first of all keep the reader in mind. Secondly, I tried to make sure that my annotations used the language of the descriptors and that they always showed my impact. An example of the type of evidence that I used to demonstrate the impact on students was a story that I followed with a student called Eliza. Eliza I'd taught in Year 9 for Society and Environment. And as part of the task, Eliza had been part of a team that developed an environmental project at the school.
I study currently a double degree of environmental science and international aid and development, and I do this online whilst travelling to third world countries who are most affected by climate change. So previous to going into Mr. Wadowit's class in Year 9, I had no idea what I was going to do. And since doing the Rich Task project with Mr. Wadowitz, I really got a passion for environmental issues. So since doing that project, it's now shaped the whole rest of my life, basically.
So it was a great experience for me to see that something I'd done in Year 9 with the student had impacted them for their life, which was overwhelming really, and I didn't expect that.
My referee position was that I really needed to know Matt and his teaching, and I needed to know how his students were going. So I used some perception data from his classes. I also had many conversations with Matt, and then of course I confirmed that by attending his classroom and speaking with students and seeing him in the classroom. And at the same time I also observed him working with other teachers in the process of being a lead teacher. So for me it is be completely involved and engaged with that person in terms of their journey through the certification process.
My role as a referee for Matt was to provide a bit of a conduit between what was actually happening in the classroom with Matt and in his teaching, and aligning that with the Australian professional standards for teachers.
Do you remember also yesterday, guys, we started to talk about text messaging, and we started to talk about Facebook, and we started to talk about the way we communicate. Remember we said yesterday, someone brought up the example about tweeting. My role in organising the site visit was to make sure that the assessor, my referees and everyone involved on the day knew exactly where to be and when to be there and the types of questions that would be asked. From there I needed to make sure that my lesson was well prepared, and I was really keen for my lesson to be a true representation of the type of work I'd been doing. In terms of advice to an applicant who is preparing for Stage 2, I would say have clear communication and open communication with your assessor. And then I would say speak with your colleagues and your referees to make sure that they were comfortable with what they'll be asked. Certification has allowed me to, I guess, challenge myself and also have a deeper understanding of what it is to be excellent in terms of a classroom teacher and a leader.